You've heard the saying, you are what you eat. Well, guess what? You are what you say you are, what you think you are, what you assume you are, and that is called your story of you. So you can rewrite the story of you anytime. I want to share a story with you, and this goes to a couple of different clients, and I'm going to kind of combine their stories to preserve their identities. And I want to share with you how they have gone from being on this inner child journey of healing inner child trauma for years and years. And then after one session, they saw the truth of who they are and began to see the changes immediately. Welcome, my name is Rose, and welcome to The Rosey Life, where we help you free your mind and follow your heart so you live a life that you love. If you're interested in working one-on-one with me, go to RoseyLife.com and read the options, or you can join the Rosey Life course and community, where we meet every week and I answer your questions live, and we have a private community and forum where people post success stories, ask questions, and just it is a wonderful, lovely community. And you have 12 lessons that are self-paced, and you do those on your own, and it's just to get you from the external focus to the internal focus of knowing who you are and deciding what it is that you want for yourself, and the main areas of your life, which are what? Love, the love for you and the love of who you are, and love relationships, your mind and your body connection, why that is one, right? And money, that's another area. And then most importantly, having that trusting relationship with your higher self, with who you are. All right, so let's get to this video, because I've talked a lot about in different videos about the importance of going within, of seeing yourself and identifying yourself as that great I am. And I really wanted to make a video to address this, because there's a lot of comments and questions that are coming in, asking in the comments in the videos, asking what does that mean to go within, and what does that look like to deepen my awareness of who I am, right? So I want to make it like a little real simple version of this. There's a lot of content out there and teachers that go in more in depth in this, but I like to go a little in depth and make it lighter at the same time, and bring in client results and kind of just tie it in together, so it just feels like, okay, I get this, doable. Until the next video, I'm going to keep applying this. Do you see? So that's what my intention is for you all to do, is to level up in a fun, easy, simple way. All right, so your identity, all right, is your story of you. So imagine you are a movie, okay? Imagine that your life is a movie or a Netflix series or a show, right? And you're the main character, right? So how you identify is your story of you. So what's the story of you? So you've heard this, and Eric Butterworth, a lot of spiritual teachers refer to Dr. Joseph Murphy, Neville Goddard. I am a child of God. Okay, so this is your foundation, the foundational identity. I know a lot of you want to just run to, when I ask you who you are, you'll say your name, that you are a artist or musician or a lawyer or a doctor, and that you have a kid, or you're single, or you have a spouse, or whatever. That's how you identify. Okay, and what I want to share with you, this is an example of how I have evolved and what I have come to knowing who I am and who we all are, right? And when you shift your identity, the story of you, it's a huge difference. Even as a therapist, right, I had a lot of people come in and share their story with me, and they would tell me everything they didn't like. And I'm just like, well, is that what you want? They're like, no. And I'm like, well, why do you keep saying it? So the first place we want to start, and this is with knowing who you are, coming into this remembering of who we are. I am a child of God. I am one with God. And I like to say we're tight. All right, like we're like tight. God and I, we're tight. It's like nothing separates us. We're like peanut butter and jelly. We make a sandwich, right? I am one with God. God and we're one. We're tight, right? So God and Rose is one. Okay, that is what you're saying is like, I am one. The I am one is I am one with God is saying God and Rose, this body, this physical manifestation that from God's mind, because I am in God's mind. And because I am in God's mind and God created me in his image, God is within me. We are one. There's no separateness. We are together. We make one. We're a cool team. All right. So now we got that foundation of who I am. Okay. Then is Rose, because first was God and then came Rose. It wasn't Rose and then came God. No, it's God and then came Rose. All right. And then Rose is whatever I assume my identity is. And I get to decide, and this goes to the story, okay? I am, for example, I assume my identity. So I'm going to assume the best because I get to choose my avatar, just like I mentioned in another video I made, that, this experience is our life in this reality in 3D is like a video game that I get to choose my avatar, and that is what I get to do. I get to assume who I am in this experience called a game called experience, right? That's how I see it. This is my game, my movie I call The Experience. And so I assume my identity, and I know that I am health, I am wealth, I am love, I am joy. That's why I am healthy. That's why I am wealthy. That is why I am loved. Do you see? Because I am love itself. That's why I am loved. I am joy itself, and that is why I am enjoying my life. Do you see? So I am those things, and then those are the reasons why I have love, why I experience love, why I am enjoying my life, why I am healthy, why I am wealthy, because I am those things. Do you see how my identity as Rose, I assume myself to be those things. God plus Rose equals one, and this is and then that one is the result. You see. However, I wanted to give you an example, and again, this is a compilation of different clients, and I wanted to show you what a lot of people come, to see me initially with, and they might not realize it, and they might have been studying the law forever, or a minute, or 2 seconds, doesn't matter. So, for example, this client, right, she came to me and saying, I have an inner child healing journey that I've been on. I've been healing that inner child. I am someone that is triggered. I am someone that is anxiously attached. I am someone that is an empath or an introvert. Or an extrovert, right? I have deep wounds from the past. And then this is their story. This is their identity. Do you see the difference between their story and then this story? Not saying mine is better, not saying that hers is worse or theirs is worse, right? I want you to see the difference. Because remember, God and you are one, and you get to choose your avatar. I chose mine, and they have chosen theirs, who they identify with. And whatever story you identify with, right, your identity, that becomes your experience. So we get to change our story. So I wanted to share something about inner child healing because I've had quite a few people ask me in comments or one-on-ones or even friends of mine that have family members and whatnot, and they want to share a video about this because they're asking questions, right? And many of you know I'm a former psychotherapist, so I'm very familiar with the inner child healing, especially with any trauma. And in the psychology world, this is how it's defined. Inner child healing from trauma is a cause of adult behavior. So it's that what happened to you, the cause of adult behaviors from childhood experiences. And so you address the unmet needs by reparenting yourself. So this is how it's treated, and this is what it means, that your inner child needs healing from trauma that you experienced as a child, because that is a cause of why you're acting, feeling, behaving, or why your life is the way it is right now as an adult, because of something that you don't like or is unpleasant, or you're finding patterns in your life that are unwanted with relationships, or relationship with money, or relationship with yourself or people, or why you're anxious, or this or that. That the cause, concept that the cause is because of something that happened to you as a child. And then the treatment of this, they say, is to address those unmet needs that you had as a child, and that you give them to yourself as an adult so that you reparent yourself. So in other words, the present adult you learns to reparent the inner child by feeling in those needs. Okay? So there's only one part of that that I personally like, is a reparenting yourself. Why? Because you have one Father. You have the Father of them all, and that is God, right? So, but here's a response that I have to that inner child journey of healing. Okay, so A Course in Miracles, for example, says you have not only been created, but have also been created perfect. There is no emptiness in you. So not only were you created by God, but you were created perfect. And there is no emptiness inside of you. There is no healing that needs to be done. You are not missing anything. You don't have to reparent and give yourself something that you need right now that you think you've missed or you don't have right now. There's no emptiness inside of you whatsoever when you see that you are perfect and you were created perfect in God's image. Do you see that? So seeking love, healing, honoring the 3D you identities, the labels like introvert, anxious attachment, extrovert, empath, all of these terms, these are all labels. Those aren't you. Those are not your true identity. Those are just concepts, ideas. They're illusions that don't exist. Do you see? If you believe them, they exist. And even in Course in Miracles, it says, show me where your heart, what you value, and I'll show you where your heart is. So if you value that 3D version of you more, if you want to label yourself as an empath or introvert, extrovert, or as anxious attachment, you want to honor that. Do you see? That's where your heart lies. And that becomes your identity of you and God that are one. Do you see? But you were created perfect. You can do that if you choose. You have free will. You can label yourself as those things, and you will experience those effects of those things, but you don't have to tolerate those identities. You don't have to keep up with am I anxious attached or detached, or my anxiety, am I nervous, am I wounded, am I broken? Do you see? All of that is reverting to the past, and your present now is where your power is. Do you see? So seeking love, healing, honoring the 3D identities, labels, belief you can feel, and this part right here, meant to quote this part from belief here, belief you can't, from A Course in Miracles, belief you can feel a lack or heal, in other words, with your own ideas, concepts, right, instead of truth. That is what you're believing in. What's the truth? Love, perfection. So you would rather believe you can feel a lack. You believe that something's missing or broken or wrong with you, and that you have to either treat it or fix yourself with self-concept or whatever, or heal yourself, right? that you can do it with your own ideas or concepts of going on a journey of healing, or believing and labeling that you have these things, that these things are who you are, and that this is what's wrong with you, right? Is you believing in your own illusions, ideas, over the truth of who you are, which is perfect and love. Do you see that? You were born, not only were you created, but you were created perfect, lacking nothing, missing nothing. Do you see? And I get it, you guys, because even as, like I said, as a former psychotherapist, I get it, right? Because I used to treat these symptoms. I used to label people with diagnosis, right? And because that's how I was trained with my education, right? But I see beyond these things now, right? Because I see these things as ideas of who we are, not the truth of who we are. So this client, right, after one session, one of these clients, after one session with me, and this was just last week, she began to declare, I am love, because what she said she was desiring is to be loved. And we talked about how she already is love, right? And so she started declaring last week, I am love. And she said, and so what happened, you guys? She became detached from her SP. And this person is in her life, okay? But she became detached from him, feeling like, oh my God, here the whole time I thought I needed him, and I needed his attention, and I needed him to reassure me and value me and love me and provide for me. She said all of a sudden she started feeling like she doesn't need him anymore. Wow. She said, I felt detached from SP. And the funny thing is that just for one day she did that. And what happened is he came in hard. In other words, he was texting, calling her, where are you? What's going on? And then initially she said, oh, that's because I was ignoring him for one day. And then because of I ignored him, and that's why he came in. I know a lot of you can identify with that, saying that just because you ignore someone, that's why your manifestation came in. That's why they called you, they texted you, that's why they came forward. You're saying that, so now you're setting yourself for playing games, that if you ignore them and forget about them, that's when they come in. Now you try to force yourself to ignore them and play games, and then they don't come in, or if they do come in, right, now you have to keep up with that game, otherwise they keep leaving, because they have to leave so that they can keep coming back in, because you've decided that you have to ignore them. And if you pay attention to them and you love them like you want to, they leave, because you already decided you have to ignore them in order for them to be there. Do you see that game? And when she saw that, she said, she was like, oh my God. She said, I see it. So she what happened is she had a spat with her guy, and she had a spat with him, and she said I wanted to blame him for him being the cause of triggering me. He triggered me. And she said, he triggered me, Rose. And she said, I want him to say sorry so I can feel better again. And then I said, I just looked at her. I didn't say anything. And she said, oh my God, I just heard what I said. In other words, she was giving her power away, making him the cause of her feeling bad, and that only he can make her feel good until he apologizes. Do you see? And she said, oh my God, I see it. I see it. And in other words, and I also asked her, because she said she was on an inner child healing journey for a while, and she's done like ayahuasca, and she's done all of these things, and she said, I thought I was healed. And she said, and all it took for him to say one thing the wrong way, and she says, and I took it the wrong way in my mind, and it triggered me, and I got into a nasty fight with him. So how much healing really went on there? Do you see? That's why instead of trying to heal yourself, see yourself as whole and perfect. Instead of trying to fix something about yourself, see the way that God sees you. Perfect, whole, lacking, missing nothing, just like Course in Miracles says. Do you see? And then she said, oh my God, I see that. And then she said what triggered her was that he said something to her, and she took it and meant that it meant something different. And then when he came back and she was calmed down and able to talk to him, he said, that's not what I meant. I was meaning this, not that. And she was like, oh, okay. So she said, that's not what he even meant. And I wrote revise here because I shared with her that she is able to utilize that now as a revision like tool for herself, right? So if he says something to her that she doesn't like, or that there's a different outcome she wants, all she has to do is just like, actually, that's not what he meant. What he meant to say is that blah, 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 and then give herself what she wants. That's revision in a modern way, too. It's like, actually, that's not what he meant, or actually, that's not what I said, or that's not what I thought. What I meant to say was this. Actually, no, I didn't mean that. What I meant to say was this. And this is all you talking to you, not having a conversation with someone else, okay? This is all you like redirecting and going into right thinking. Like A Course in Miracles talks about, it's right thinking. In other words, instead of you assuming the worst case scenario, assume the best case scenario. Assume the best, give yourself the good, instead of automatically assuming the worst case, the worst thought. So I hope that you guys really see, or I intend that you all are able to look at your own story. What story do you keep telling yourself? How are you identifying, okay? What is your identity? Is your identity just with your name and your occupation and what you have and you don't have, right? I want, like, that's cool, but that's surfacey. What's underneath that personality? That is God, that I am. I am a child of God. I am one with God. We are one. We are tight. We are like PB&J. We make a perfect sandwich. Do you see? You can say, play around with all of those words the way that you talk. This is just my funny way of talking, right? But that is how you want to begin. Who are you? So if I asked you right now, who are you? I am a child of God. I am one with God. God and I are one. That's who I am. And then your personality gets a description of whatever you want. Whatever you want. It doesn't matter what you think happened in the past as a child. It doesn't matter if you're just like, no, those experiences really happened to me and I was there, I have evidence. Let me show you the PowerPoint presentation. Right? It doesn't matter. You can change it right now. Whatever you say that you are is what you are and is what you will experience in your life, okay? So thank you guys so much for subscribing to The Rosey Life. Thank you for liking the videos, and thank you for helping the Rosey Life channel grow. It's so wonderful. It's so amazing. And I love you guys so, so much. And I look forward to seeing you guys real soon in the next video, because you are all so freaking amazing. I love you. And thank you again for your support and your love. I'll see you soon. Bye.